As you know, Bermuda is working with CCC and ACON by way of a public-private partnership to redevelop the Bermuda Airport Terminal building through an incremental contract development process, which began with a memorandum of understanding last November. For commercial and entrustment reasons, our letters of agreement have required several extensions, the latest extended to August 31st of this year. The letter of agreement contemplates that a further interim agreement called the Airport Development Agreement, or ADA, must be entered into in order to set out and describe the ambit, principles, and subject matter of the project's final and definitive agreements. Phase 1 of this incremental contract development process, which consists of exploration, scoping, and data collection, has now been completed. The ADA marks the beginning of Phase 2, which will complete negotiation of definitive detailed terms to oversee the project's implementation and move it to financial close. This will include the framework definition, design and detail costing, finance and detail finalization of contracts, commitments and liabilities, the independent fairness assessment, local tendering, and the addressing of legal issues. Your government is committed to doing the best for Bermuda. You may have heard elsewhere by those not so informed on this project that more than 40 jobs which currently exist at the airport are in jeopardy. This is not true. Your government is committed to not only preserving those jobs, but completing a project that will grow that number. This agreement means moving the project forward with ACON and CCC to finalize the design and financing of the airport's redevelopment, including construction, operations, and maintenance, and towards the execution of an airport concession agreement anticipated in the second half of 2016. Now, I know this development process is unfamiliar to most Bermudians, but this is the only way to achieve the combined objectives of the speedy creation of hundreds of construction and retail jobs, the creation of a modern airport that is less vulnerable to severe weather, the protection against the risks of millions of dollars in overruns and delivery delays, and the avoidance of further burdening of the public debt by $250 million. So today, we are a step closer to bringing Bermuda a world-class airport with a state-of-the-art passenger terminal of which we all can be proud. At the end of Phase 2, which we think will be in about a year, we will have a final contract and construction will commence thereafter. Thank you very much. I have some other speakers and then we'll take questions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. These are exciting times for Bermuda. A week ago today, I had the distinct pleasure to lead debate in Parliament on a measure that takes us one step closer to bringing a major hotel to the East End after some 30 years. Representing the people of Bermuda, the government has been happy to work with high-end partners such as the Desarrollos Hotel Co. Group, who will construct a 5-star hotel that will bring a much-needed top luxury brand hotel to the island. This comes at a time when other properties are engaged in raising their profiles and standards with the expectation of improvements to our tourism product. Morgan's Point has just signaled their capability and intention to move forward with luxury accommodations. These are indeed truly exciting times. There is much anticipation for the America's Cup as Bermuda edges ever closer to the center of the professional yachting universe. We see this not just in the increasing commercial activity and the large number of related families who will soon begin to call Bermuda their home. I believe that Team Japan alone will bring more than 30 families to live here. But until we replace our aging air terminal, they will all be faced with a first and last impression of Bermuda that is just not up to the first-class standards that Bermudians themselves demand. This government, your government, has put together a plan that provides so many benefits for Bermudians. Importantly, it will take a hodgepodge of buildings, which we have been using since the 1940s, together with additions and band-aids here and there, and replace it with Bermuda's first purpose-built terminal for civilian air traffic. We have been fortunate in finding such high-end partners to help us achieve this objective. In fiscal year 2013-2014, CCC was active in 57 countries using 183 Canadian companies, bringing the advantages of a proven contracting method and providing the best of Canadian solutions. That's how we are working with Aecon, a company with roots which date back to the 1800s, one of Canada's largest and most diverse construction and infrastructure development companies involved in the building of some of Canada's most important landmarks. With the signing of the Airport Development Agreement, Bermudians can derive some hope for hundreds of Bermudian jobs, increased long-term employment, and a better environment for our visitors and Bermudian workers here at the airport. So again, these are indeed exciting times for Bermuda. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here today to sign the Airport Development Agreement. My name is Martin Zablocki. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Canadian Commercial Corporation. For those of you who may not be familiar with CCC, we are the Government of Canada's international export organization involved in government-to-government contracting. And we've been in existence since 1956, developing projects all over the world for governments of friends of Canada and CCC, and facilitating acquisitions from Canada of national importance. I'm pleased to be here today as well at the Bermuda LF Wade Airport, which takes the next steps towards defining the work required for this important project. Projects of this scale are best accomplished working with proven world-class suppliers, and CCC is proud to be working with Aecon, a proven CCC supplier, on this project. Bermuda's redevelopment of the airport is of great importance to Bermuda, and it will be an important update to the airport in terms of its technology, and by which visitors will be welcomed and business people will be welcomed to this beautiful island. CCC is excited to work with Bermuda on such an important project that has the added benefits of creating jobs for Bermuda by way of subcontracts and add-on business over the next 2 years. Thank you very much, and with that I'll turn the floor over to John Beck.
Thank you, Martin. Ministers, my name is John Beck. I am the Executive Chairman of Aecon. As Canada's premier construction and infrastructure development company, Aecon takes great care to deliver infrastructure that supports the economy and society in ways that are sensitive to the needs of the communities in which we work. We're confident that we can do this for Bermuda through a collaborative and affordable process using Aecon's award-winning airport development expertise around the world. Using a whole-of-country approach, we will work alongside local companies to maximize employment opportunities for Bermudians and bring best-in-class safety, construction, and environmental standards to the project. We're pleased to have reached this significant milestone, and we look forward to working with the Government of Bermuda and the CCC to advance the redevelopment of a first-class airport for Bermuda. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Obviously, you've come under a lot of flack from the opposition about the handling of this project. Do you still believe that sole sourcing the project was the correct way forward?
Yes. The alternative to what we have done so far is no airport. We do this way, the only alternative is not do anything at all. Now, we're committed to developing Bermuda, to providing jobs, to constructing a new strategic asset that is much needed. And the only way we could go forward with this is this way. The traditional tender process, which everybody keeps talking about, would result in the Bermuda government increasing its debt by over $250 million, which is not something that this government would allow. So the alternative being what it is, this is the way to go.
As part of these contracts, are there any guarantees for Bermudian jobs?
Yes. The first guarantee is the one I made earlier, is that everybody who's working here will continue to have a job. There will be many jobs, I believe in the hundreds, that will be created during the construction process. The new terminal will have a much greater emphasis on providing commercial retail in the terminal, which itself will also create more jobs. So this is a job creation project, both temporary as well as long-term.
Deputy Premier, the opposition also said yesterday by privatizing the airport, government's going to give up $620 million in profit over 30 years at a time when we can really use that income. And given our debt situation, and they asked the question, can we really afford to give it up? Is that a valid question to ask?
No, it's not a valid question. First off, the question is based on a false premise, which is that the airport is being privatized. It is not. We will have Aecon Concessions manage it. The airport will continue to belong to Bermuda. Insofar as the numbers that are thrown around, these are numbers people I call number bombers. They can speculate, they can pontificate, they can prevaricate. They can do that because they don't have to deliver anything. As ministers of this government, we have to deliver. Therefore, we just can't throw numbers around willy-nilly. The point is that this airport is something that's needed, and we have gone about it in the only way that we can without incurring a huge amount of debt. Now, those numbers that you talk about, the people who know these numbers are the people in this room. Now, I think the Bermudian people have to ask themselves, do the people in this room, Aecon, CCC, and the Ministry of Finance know more about this than people who have never built anything? I mean, Aecon has built the CN Tower. Anybody who's been to Toronto, all right? The CN Tower, that 12 to 16 lane monstrosity in north of Toronto called the 401, and the new terminal at the Toronto airport. We're dealing with experts here. So I really think that the number bombers need to let us do the deep dive into the data to prove the economics of this project. And that's what phase 2 is a commitment to do a deep dive into the details of this project to come up with the economics of this project. The number bomber is going to continue to speculate, to pontificate, and prevaricate. But we're getting on with people's business here.
If the $620 million profit figure is not accurate, can you share
I've already answered that to Roy. Any more questions?
What's the timeline of the project right now? I mean,
The timeline is that this phase 2, we reckon will take a year. So in the 3rd to 4th quarter of next year, we will have done that deep dive. We've done all the detail work that would be necessary. And at that point, the final agreements should be signed. And once that final agreement, which I've referred to as financial close, once that is done, then construction can start right after that.
Does that mean that the airport will be under construction while the America's Cup is on?
Yes, it will still be under construction.
Minister, I take it you're right, trying to ask, since the 600 and whatever million is a high figure, what exactly is the figure?
I'm not addressing those numbers here. I just know that the people who throw those numbers out don't have any basis for telling what the numbers are on this project. They do not have the data. It's speculation.
So you can fix it right here.
No, I'm not gonna do that here. But Bermudians should know that the people who are making these speculative pronouncements do not have the data.
Why aren't you giving the actual figure?
Because, as I will just repeat, this is a process whereby we are going to do a deep dive into finding out exactly what the figures are. Now, if I have the chairman of ACON here and he doesn't know what the figures are, and I'll just tell you what he's built. If he doesn't know what the figures are, how are the number bombers going to know what the figures are? So we have what I have described as an incremental development process. We don't know what the final numbers are now. And I'm not going to engage in speculation. And neither should Bermudians.
The bottom line is we're going into unknown territory.
We are, if you like, we are doing our analysis as we go forward. Remember, this agreement that we have signed here is not the final agreement. It is not. It doesn't commit Bermuda to this project. It commits us to finding out the exact details of this project.
Minister, now that we're one step closer, how high on the priority list is the replacement of the causeway for the government?
Well, I still would like to do it. Like a lot of other things, you have a wish list. It's on the wish list. It's high on the wish list. When the Bermuda government figures out how to finance it, then we'll do it. We haven't figured that out yet.